The Northern Territory government has revealed what it plans to do to try to increase the amount of water available to develop the north. The options include changing the percentage of water preserved for the environment, trying to pour water back into underground aquifers and bringing in new regulations for rural residents. But it still hasn't been able to convince farmers, fishermen and rural residents that its current policies are working.
Just outside Katherine, Emma Gorringe's bore ran so low last dry season she could only pump water for 2 hours a day. She suspects the Territory government has given out too much water to new forestry plantation industries.
I just don't think they're taking into consideration the dry wets that we've had, and we're not getting the water like we used to.
Peter Marks bought his Katherine mango farm 33 years ago after his family's Murray-Darling onion property was decimated by water over-allocation. He's concerned about the Territory government's decision to double the amount of water it's giving out by modelling 30 wetter years instead of 100 drier years. It was the justification given for allocating a quarter of the neighbouring Mataranka area's water to Country Liberals candidate Tina McFarlane in 2013.
If we've had 30 wetter years, are we going to get 30 dry years to balance the budget a bit? You know, that spooks me a little bit, and I think it spooks a lot of other people.
Peter Marks wants the government to carefully consider how it will balance competition for water between family farmers, sandalwood and gas companies in its push to develop the north.
My concern would be one day in the future whether someone's going to have to make a choice between food and perfume, for instance.
The government fielded similar questions at its annual water forum in Katherine.
Where will further water come from to develop the north, as astronomical amounts of water will be required?
Last dry season we had a whole number of water bores in the Katherine rural regions run dry. Can we expect the same this year?
What sector of the economy has a preference over another sector? Is that a desirable space to be in?
The government's answers included water trading, and under extreme pressure to find more water for fracking and mining, it's considering changing the rule where only 20% of flows are available for industry.
As we get more science, we might decide that you can allocate less water than the 20%, or it might be more.
Rural residents may face new regulation and licensing of their bores.
The 15 litre per second exemption in the Darwin Water Control District and in areas outside of water control districts has, in my view, run its course.
And the government's also asking for Commonwealth funding for new dams and a plan to pump wet season water underground to top up aquifers. That's despite scientific warnings about the effects of diverting water from rivers.
Roughly every 1% reduction in flow that goes into the Gulf reduces fishing catch by 1–1.5%.
The government's convinced it's got its modelling right and that it hasn't over-allocated water.
The fact that someone's not getting water out of their bore could mean that it needs airlifting. It could be anything.
The minister's promising to move cautiously and using more than 20% of water for industry.
Any move away from it would be very, very slow and over time.
That doesn't reassure anglers or residents.
Something we would strongly discourage, and certainly isn't in any way best practice water management.
I think that's a little bit scary when you look at what's happened to other rivers in other parts of Australia.
And something she fears could threaten her home water supply. Jane Bardon, ABC News, Katherine.